I do believe we are live. So I'll say indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friend. Thank you for joining me again, for sharing another moment, for finding yourself in this space today, for, in large part, reality shifting. That's what today's stream topic is going to be about. Reality shifting, to kind of like clear the air of confusion, is when you either find yourself occupied with a different state of reality when you're not in it, or our ability to switch between realities, as in compartmentalizing when it comes to our lives, as in the act of taking a shower is a different reality to the act of brushing your teeth, to the act of cooking yourself a meal, to the act of driving a car, to the act of being in your office space, doing busy work, right? And I honestly believe that as we go between these different states of being, we switch realities. But then on the other side, what happens is we can get stuck where we might be switching realities, but even though we have switched to a different reality, we might still be stuck conceptually, mentally, in one of the other realities that we occupied. As in, you might be doing some sort of project. And it's not always a bad thing. It's not a bad thing necessarily because it can help, but you might be busy with a project. Let's say you're writing a coaching course to keep it, in the ballpark that I can actually communicate with. You're working on a coaching course, and then you put the coaching course down. That reality that you occupied of, I'm gonna make a coaching course, you put that down, and then you live the rest of your life. But still, in the back of your mind, that reality is still open. And now, as I'm experiencing the rest of the world, I can contribute to that space, to that reality, even though I might not be in it right now. And it's, again, not a bad thing, but it is something we have to be aware of because we can get stuck. We can get stuck in thinking about something, a project, a goal, to the point where we completely lose out on reality. We lose out on this experience that we're here to have. So maybe the intention for the joint will just be presence, all right? To be present. Present. And it's nice having you, friends. Thank you for being present with me. Help, I'm stuck in reality. Me too, Joy Vive. Me too. I keep having to eat food and stuff. It sucks. Nancy, it's nice having you here too. Funny you bring up the coaching course, Melt. I was thinking about that, wondering how it was going. It's going. It's going, Shan. The biggest thing for me is I feel like I'm supposed to have more credentials. I have to have like an even bigger list of how impressive I am. Oh look, oh oh I've shifted so many realities in so many different ways. Now because of this, I'm trustworthy. Yes, give me your monies. Because look at all of this evidence. Look. I'm that's how I feel. That's how I feel like I'm expected to do that, kind of like do the little dance and prance. But there's still things that need to happen. Let's just say it in so many words. Maybe I'm just supposed to overcome my inertia of the imposter syndrome, believing that I can actually offer a service that is valuable. So valuable will go abundance. Yeah. I can provide abundance. I can provide protection. I can provide enlightenment. I can provide the gift of knowledge. Yeah. Abundance, protection, enlightenment, gift, knowledge, or fire. 22 hours until my first plant sale. Should probably make a checklist and start preparing. That does sound like the correct course of action. Break down everything you need to do into smaller steps and then start with the small steps until you get done what you need to do. Let me open comments quickly so I don't have to keep touching your friends' faces. Like touch your face to hear what you're saying. Sorry for making it weird. Yourself, please. Holla peeps. S-Rock is here too. Sending you love, dude. It's nice having you. Beautiful lovers yet to arrive. Thank you, Shell, for sending love to our friends as well. I'm stuck in get unstuck mode. I don't know. So that's the joke, right? That is the joke, because in a weird way we can kind of like step one step back, and then convince ourselves, realize maybe is the better way to say it, that we already shifted realities. That you shifted the reality of the one consciousness, the all being God, into being yourself, right? You shifted into this reality so that you can be in this reality. And there is no escaping your reality shifting, right? You might be stuck, but you are intentionally stuck. You are stuck in the way uh, a USB port is stuck in its port. You are occupying this space right now. And without you occupying this space, without you being stuck, there is no experience, right? Like the fact of you being a human being, the fact of your conceived mortality allows you this experience of being human, right? If none of us were concerned of dying, our society would be significantly different. I don't know if it would be nice, to be completely honest, but it would be different. Well, do you know why comments don't show up when your streams are done? It takes some time. It takes some time. I believe that's the best answer I can give, Nancy. Like let's do this, for example. If I go Meltmore and I go to like one of the older lives, let's go like 5 days back. If I go 5 days back, then the live chat shows up again. And then as you skip through the stream, the comments will show up, with the timestamps that they were sent during. So it's just a time thing, right? I think it's like an ingest issue with YouTube, where it takes them some time to process the data, align the data the way it's supposed to be. I'm sorry, Nancy, because I know you friends do watch the streams back, and the comments are a massive part of this experience. They show up the next day. Thank you, Shan. Hello, new space cadets who have entered into the stream. New friends have entered into the stream? Do you know something I don't? Thank you for being here. I think about you friends who don't say anything a lot. Dan is here too, sending you love. Right? The fact that some of you friends have been tuning in consecutively, consistently, but you haven't been saying anything. I'm saying hi to you, specifically you, and I'm telling you that I love you. You don't have to say anything for your influence to be felt, for your brain waves to occupy this space as well. Mojo's here too, sending you love. Yeah, it is day 422. We can go 420 again. I've been like a little bit somber with my weed use, because I feel like I'm reaching a point where it might need to stop. Like the fast has kind of shown me again that there's a part of me that seems to be escapist. Is that the right way to say it? A part of my reality is shifting into escapism, trying to run away from my feelings, trying to run away from my responsibility. Maybe that's it. Maybe even not even responsibility, but thinking about the responsibility, trying to escape from that part, you know, not reality shifting myself into a state of being where the responsibility of being becomes intense. What? Yes, I agree. If the inner intention is presence, the outer intention will be focus. Yeah, focus. Because what we focus on becomes our reality, after all, right? Yeah, yeah. It's a little bit of a. I think of it like the concept gets all up in my face. Like if the concept could embody itself, if I could anthropomorphize a concept, this concept would just be like, oh please, please. Doc, that's sending you extra love. I'm skilled to see today's. I'm psyched to see today's topic. Super relevant to how my morning's been. I'm so happy to hear these things, Dan. Like I've been thinking about you a lot, bro. There is this artist that I really love. He calls his channels Truthless, and he made this video on making something, on failing, on the cosmic yeehaw. I think he calls it. I call it melting, right? But he calls it cosmic yeehaw. When you hear something so profound, when you feel something so profound, that it melts you, that it completely destroys your sense of self. It gives you goosebumps, right? It makes you feel something. And then yesterday's topic, talking about the being kind to AI and echoing the love is true sentiment, and you really clicking it, having that aha moment, having that melting moment. It was so synchronous, dude. It was so perfect how you felt that. You made me feel that I could make you feel that. And relevant to this dude's video of like creating something, creating a feeling for people to feel, and how that is the thing that we artists pursue. We want to make you feel something, right? I want to melt your brain. And melting your brain can sound a little bit rough. It's like, oh, please melt. I don't want my brain melted. Brain melt to me is when you lose all these layers that you have convinced yourself is yourself, right? Oh, my job. Oh, this physical fleshy vehicle. Oh, this way of dressing. Oh, this thing that I like doing. None of that is you, technically, right? And I'm here to facilitate you reaching the point of realizing what you actually are, conscious of this moment, right? Your awareness of being. And that awareness of being only arises if love is true. And then you, right, being able to communicate to me that synchronicity so serendipitously, and then again me being able to communicate serendipitously to you. Reality shifting our realities, right, on top of the fact that we're shifting into different realities. Dan sending love. Nancy and Esrog. I got a remedy for that, Mel. Of course you do. Autocorrect means thank you for the love. Joy Vive saying it'd be crazy hours because it's my busy season, so I went to bed extra early last night. A part of me wants to almost congratulate, be proud of you, Joy Vive, for being busy, for having a busy season, for knowing that you're in the reality of being busy right now. And that's probably going to be tiring. But you also know that there's going to be another side of it, right? If I quit smoking weed, I'd be sober. Yep. Cosmic yeehaw. It's cool, huh? I really like the way that he articulated. There's a car arriving right now. There's not supposed to be any cars arriving right now. Is my dad back? No. I don't know who that is. I don't want to deal with people I don't know right now, but I guess that's what I'm gonna do. Let's see if the microphones are gonna pick up all the way there. Wish me luck, dear friends. Is this angle gonna work? Let's move your friends. Oh, I think someone's just getting dropped. I don't know if there's gonna be anybody staying. Puppy, relax. Kom laai iemand jou af, Anna. Kom laai iemand jou net af. Okay. Yay! I didn't have to deal with anybody. And I don't know. Love is true. Everything is working exactly as it's supposed to. Mm. Oh, yeah? I think so. Okay. Hi. I felt like I needed to hide for a second. I was like, bro. Because my family, left for Pretoria. I was supposed to go with them, but then my dad's plans changed, and then I got left behind. And I'm not salty about it. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that that's what's happening. So I thought to myself, ah, yes, I'm gonna have a weekend alone. And then I hear a car arrive. And my mind is like, same cutting back on the weed use. Yeah. It should be a tool. Should be a relationship you have with Mary Jane. Shouldn't be a crutch, I guess. This is an excellent stream. For me, I have to switch from productive grower to sales guy again. Business time. And be okay with that, right? Be okay with the reality shifting. Know that that isn't that like just because you can shift realities doesn't mean that becomes your reality, right? Maybe that's like a good quote to take away from stream today. Something still feels off. Like I feel like there's some sort of sloping happening. It's just me. Is my brain melting? I'm fine, fine. I'll stop thinking about it as well. I've been thinking about you a lot, bro. I've been revisited. That track you sent me the vocals for a while back. I'm hearing your voice like 4 hours a day. Dude, you're gonna make me cry if I actually have to consider what you just said to me, I'm gonna start crying. This is like the reality shifting, right? Like you can call it dissociation as well sometimes. Like when I cook myself food, for example, I have to shift realities into a state of being that's a little bit more human, grounded, right? Because I'm interfacing with material. And what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that it can be weird to understand that we need food to continue living, right? That can be a pretty absurd experience. And then I think about the fact that you think about me on top of all of these experiences, all of these overwhelming stimuli. And I hope, I would like to believe that at least, me being in your mind, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to be a kind companion instead of a harsh one. Love you, Brother Dan, so much. No, not until about July when the audit season is over. Joy V, if I quit weed and caffeine, dead sober. Joy, audit season? Are you an auditor like Mrs. Shell? Mr. Shell? Let's see if she's gonna tell us. Scary. What do sober people do? What do they talk about? How do they know what to do with their sober hands? I mean, sobriety isn't something I feel that ever really escapes you, right? Again, when it comes to reality shifting, I feel not being sober isn't you not being sober, it's just you occupying a different state of being. You're like, Melt, that just sounds like being high with extra steps. Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly. And I like to imagine that your high, if you want to call it that, is going to be a direct result of your intention, especially when it comes to the substances you choose to use. If your intention is to just feel great about yourself and about what it is you're doing, even if what you're doing is, yeah, even if it's that, right? Then it is going to be what you get out of that intention. Dopamine is one of those things where it can convince you that no matter what it is you're doing, literally no matter what it is you're doing, getting your face tattooed by your friend who doesn't know how to tattoo, if you're super high on dopamine, you're gonna be like, yeah, this is fine. This is a great idea. I should totally be doing this. This is fantastic, because that's gonna be your intention, right? You're gonna want to feel like what you're doing is right. If your intention is growth, learning, expanding your consciousness, gaining more perspective on what you consider your reality, then you're gonna probably gravitate towards things that allow for those experiences, right? Psychedelics. If you're in pain and your intention is not being in pain, then you're probably gonna gravitate towards, morphine, opioid receptor stimulants, right? So yeah, it's you shifting into a reality. Your intention setting, the intentions you set for the reality you want to occupy, become the reality you occupy. Create your experience, create your trip. I believe this, even the sober experience is a psychedelic trip. You eat food, you drink water, you breathe oxygen, and all of these things are like the drugs that give you the psychedelic experience that is your life, that is your reality right now, the thing that you're shifting into. As something I've been seeing so clearly, it's not about chasing an answer or a solution, but rather a feeling. And that feeling is love. Oh wow. Oh yeah. Yeah. Dan is making the connections in his brains. Oh wow. Joy, it's good you're giving yourself extra rest during this time then. Exactly. Someday, July crazy slows down. I'm not an auditor shell. My clients get audited and I prepare the books and schedules. Then I go to the duck farms, smacky groundkeeper, having to deal with strangers averted. Phew. Because the thing is, right? Like we have some weirdness in South Africa. Like I don't even know if I want to talk about this. Reality shifting. I guess it could kind of be relevant. There are systems in place in South Africa for people to go to a piece of land and then claim it as their own. And if they can get the government to agree with them that this land is in fact theirs because of some sort of ancestral lineage or et cetera, they just take people's land. They just do that. So there's a twinge in the back of my head when I see someone just arrive on the farm where that's like the energy that they're coming with. That's the intention, right? That's what I imagine. The reality that they've shifted themselves into might be one of taking, right? And it's like this whole thing of I don't know if I believe it's fair, right? Like I started living on this farm when I was a 7-year-old. No, 9-year-old. So 9-year-old Mel occupied this space, lived in a city before we came here, and I hated it. I hated it so much. I hated the farm because the farm was associated with work and I had to do things and there were ceaselessly things to be fixed and things to be cleaned and animals to take care of. So I was like, this fucking sucks. Who would want to live on a farm? And then as I left the home, I went and worked a job, lived in Pretoria, a big city here in South Africa. Didn't like that job too much because they changed the structure of the work I was supposed to do, went from sales to services. And now, at this point in my life, I realized the value of services. But at that point in my life, I wanted money above anything else. So sales was a good medium to actually do that. Complained, went to China, lived in China, experienced the reality, shifted into the reality that is the China experience. And then when I came back, this reality changed, right? I changed, and then the reality changed with me. The way I interpreted the intentions I had for this experience changed. Now my intention, instead of, being my intention being money, right? The ability to earn money, the ability to extract wealth from others. I realized that there is significantly more wealth in contentment and calm and spending time outside and quieting down a little bit. There's a whole genre called slow living, right? Living a little bit slower. But at the same time, living slow with intention, right? Like I do consider my lifestyle pretty slow, and I believe that there's a certain level of privilege that I'm afforded that is not widely available, and I'm not unaware of that. But at the same time, I I pride myself in pushing the envelope forward, right? Even if that pushing it forward is not quite as tangible as I would like it to be sometimes. I feel like what I'm ultimately doing, at least that's the way I've been articulating it to myself in these streams, is that we're getting good at communicating love, right? That is what I'm actively doing. That I'm a love communicator, a cheerleader for love, if you will. And my job is to get good. And you can only get good by grinding. And I believe in getting good at this thing to the point where I have committed myself to doing it every day. And I have been thinking about different ways of earning income, but none of them seem to have as much allure as this space. and showing up in this way, spending my time this way, to say it in so many words. You can leave a wild, melt alone duck, but you must leave him with eggs, or he may perish. I mean, I'm not eating right now. I do have eggs, but I'm not eating right now, and I'm feeling unperishable. I gained weight again. It's so easy. Before you know it, there you go. More weight for you. And then I was like, how did this happen? And then I reflect, and I'm like, oh yes, and then and then okay, okay, makes perfect sense now that I actually think about it. And then I stop. I'm like, I realize that there is a certain pattern of mindlessly, right? The reality shifts into one of consumption, and then I have to find balance by shifting my reality into one of not. I numbers, Doug, tell me about it. The horror of being in management. I can't even imagine. My wife is a senior accountant, fighting to avoid being brought into management. I love management. I didn't have to do the doings, just manage the doers. My wife is all about doing the doings and leaving her the F alone, as she says. I'm kind of the same. And at the same time, I'm trying to figure out how to manage as well. Manage myself, right? That's the biggest thing. Learning how to manage ourselves. I read the government didn't receive as much money as they thought through taxes, and wondered if the Cali residents have until October to file. I have no idea myself, Nancy. I hated being in management and being responsible for other people. Fortunately, different people shift into different realities, right? To keep it topic relevant. Some people do like managing, some people don't. And as a result of this diversity, all of us get to fill a role. Shout out to Brother Rambler for offering abundance to me in CVD bath bombs and balm to help me get up and moving. Such an amazing offer. Love. So much love to Brother Rambler. Sending him good vibes. He's growing like CBD plants and stuff and like turning them into like health products. Thank you for letting us know and for echoing his sentiment as well. It's awesome that Ram Bam is wonderful. Enjoy them. Yolandi and Ninja just started bombing around South Africa and start terrorizing the farmland. What? Shan, he's like, do we use bath bombs? I'm like, I've taken exactly 2 baths in the last decade. He's like, use a bucket dog, mind blown. That's genius. The way Mel describes the farm as this sucks makes me go, damn, I could sit on a beautiful land and fix stuff all day. Score. I mean, as a 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old. It started shifting around 17. My priorities were not doing things. My priorities were playing games, eating food, having a girlfriend, being cool. Those were my priorities, right? And working on a farm didn't satisfy those priorities. Let's light this joint for presence, for presence and focus. For presence and focus. We take our security on our front doors for granted, is true. It's so sweet of Rambler to offer you CBD, Doug Dad. So much love. Shell, I don't even close my garage door or lock my front doors or cars. Neighborhood thinks I'm nuts, but love is true. Ain't nobody going to rob me. If they do, I'd rather they not smash shit. I like that sentiment, Brother Bear. This reality of having to lock our doors and being fearful of others is a brain damage of society as well. Like nobody should have so little that they seek out the homes of others, right? Put their own lives in danger just to try and make a living. Hey, Joe Schmo. Sending you love, dude. Joshmo has been echoing some ideas in my mind that I've been stimulating. I don't really know him that well. We message back and forth a bit, and we are both growers, but never really met him. I mean, probably not. Not in this life, at least. Duck, you're on the home stretch. Keep cuddling that calf, please. Love is true. I'm invincible, remember, of course. Duck, as long as you're not carrying furniture up the stairs. What's up, new you, Joe? I'm in and out and working and lurking, but I scheduled the moment to come and say hi. And thank you for that. Today's whole stream topic, Joe Schmo, is about switching realities, right? Thinking about what you just said. I'm in and out and working and lurking. In the workplace, out the workplace. Different realities. Working, one reality, lurking, another reality, actively commenting, a different reality. All of it worthy, none of it wrong, right? But recognizing that we have this power to shift our realities. That's today's whole thing. Mojo, sending you lovin's as well again. I know you've been here, but it's just nice seeing your name. The need to generate revenue has reared its ugly head once again. And so I have become more money minded lately, just busy in a way. Never too busy to come and say good morning, though. So much love. Same Joe was just saying, I'm in my busy season. Yeah. I also feel like that part of reality is affecting me. This want to earn money, right? Because power. Oh, if I had more money, I'd be a little bit more powerful. Maybe I could travel. Maybe I could afford a vehicle. Maybe I could afford to build places. Maybe I could afford to do different things. And yet, this moment holds everything. And like actually everything, right? Just I know woo woo hippie nonsense, but actually this moment holds everything. That there's nothing outside of this moment. Your whole life you've experienced in this moment. Everybody has experienced their whole life in the exact same moment. All things that has ever happened in this moment. So learning how to celebrate this moment regardless of the context is a good reality to shift yourself into. Skabow. Yeah, downloaded. They need to generate revenue. Joy, for sure. So many years I would literally ride the line of mere sustenance and did my best to leave out materialistic desires. But now I'm doing this with other humans and they need help. That's where it starts. That's how they get you, Joe Schmo. That's how they get you. This is me being like cynical old man. That's how they get you, bro. Because there's a sense of enoughness. There's a sense of contentness when it comes to the slow way of living, the spiritual way of living, right? Because you realize the nature of things and you can be content because you realize the nature of things. But then you make the critical, most fundamental part of me wants to call it a problem, a mistake, but I'm gonna say a choice. You make the critical choice to love others. And then when you love others, suddenly the contentment of the self becomes a little bit selfish. Right? And I'm aware of this. I am aware of this. And I'm working on it. I'm trying to find balance in myself as well. But the version of the masculine, for example, right, that we all technically are, the observer, the unchanged observer, realizes that no matter what change occurs, it observes, right? And then that's what I mean when I'm talking about the nature of reality. No matter what change you experience, you will observe it. You will be observing it, and that observation, that observer will remain unchanged. You will tell yourself different stories about what you're observing, and that might change, but the actual observation thereof won't. But when we realize that, we can learn how to love whatever the experience is in the outside world. For instance, something that I actually do love is watching things. Like there's a bunch of words that come up, and all of them, I don't know if they paint the right picture, but I enjoy watching things melt. I enjoy watching things get destroyed. I enjoy watching things deteriorate. And it's not from the perspective of finding satisfaction in watching something become desolate, but seeing the beauty in its states as it becomes desolate. For instance, like walls, like a wall abandoned, right, left to the elements, maybe even shot at, maybe there's some sort of organism growing on it. That's like where my mind is going right now. Like let's imagine a house in an extremely humid place, and this house is completely abandoned, and water is seeping into the floors and creeping up the walls and creating mold, and those molds are creating these splotting patterns. I love that. I love it so much. I really do. But as a feminine, right? As a vehicle that enjoys stability, safety, clarity in its environment, that is not acceptable. It's beautiful from the observation perspective. It can be loved in my mind from the observation perspective, but cannot be accepted from the feminine's willingness, expectance to change, right? If there is the change of mold growing in the walls, there has to be a change of where we live, or the walls need to be changed, ripped out, and replaced with something that doesn't have mold in it, right? And then there's this balance where, as the masculine, you can see beauty even in something becoming decrepit. But when it comes to like having a feminine entity in your life, that expectation, Eva, alsjeblieft, that, hoeft alsjeblieft, rustig, that, right? And then as masculine, having to try and find a point, having to do something, right? I had to now say something so that Eva can stop barking. And that was the masculine expectation, helping me make a point or whatever. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is, as the masculine observer, which we all are, it is easy to be okay with pretty much anything. But as soon as you choose to love another person, another observer occupied in feminine space, feminine change as body, you have to start considering their perspective as well. And they might not have the same view of nature, the same view of reality that you do. Your feminine partner might not find your picket fence slowly deteriorating charming. She might see it as a problem that needs to be changed, right? And as a person, when we love other people, we do kind of expose ourselves to that influence, and it isn't necessarily always a bad thing, but it is a responsibility that can be pretty heavy to bear sometimes. And all of us are strong enough to. All of us are strong enough to, because we're choosing to. Right? Realize that it is a choice. I feel like that is something important to echo, that we are choosing everything. It's a little bit much sometimes. The choices we make might seem coerced sometimes, but we're choosing as well as we can. Made a beautiful point talking to Boyana today for a little bit, that I don't believe in wrong or right choices necessarily. I believe in knowing a choice is wrong for you and still making it as what's wrong, right? In other words, looking back at your life and seeing all of the things that you've done, labeling any of those things as wrong, and then tripping yourself out about how you were supposed to do something right in that moment and didn't. And because you did that wrong thing, now things are wrong right now. Realize that what's wrong, what would be wrong, is you having done that wrong thing and now actively, day after day, continuing to do that wrong thing. That would be wrong. You're not wrong for having done wrong things. You're only wrong if you continue to do wrong things. Notice the change, right? All things do induce change. Some change for the better, some change for the worse. And it is accumulative. It's exponential in its own way. Things accelerate. Yeah, it's different when it's not just you. Exactly, dude. Exactly. Sam, sometimes I lurk and putter during the stream. We love you always. I got the cats to take care, and they need to eat and won't understand hunger. They're not kids, but I'm responsible for them. They've also been house cats since they were kittens and aren't able to take care of themselves. I feel realistically, all of us are like house animals, yeah. Do we not take care of ourselves? If we were to be freed, if we were to, like some sort of joke has been played on us this whole time. Sorry, love you. Uh, and some aliens kind of like put us in civilization, in society, and then they see us suffering. Oh, this sucks, and they're like, oh shit, I'm so sorry, and then takes you as a person out of society, out of civilization, and just drops you in a forest somewhere, and it's like, there you go, you're free. Most of us would die. Most of us would probably die. We're all house humans at this point. It took a long time to wrap my heart and head around worth. These people are worth my efforts. I love that. Thank you for seeing that, for taking on that service role, right? It's okay to serve others. It's noble even. And Sheem, I read, sometimes I lurk and putter. That's what I read as well. Is that not what was said? And sometimes I lurk with butter. Sometimes I lurk with butter. I was confused. I just imagine Angie holding a stick of butter, watching me stream, not saying anything. Butter slowly melting in her hands. Maybe there would be like some sort of level of commitment to it. I can kind of see it happening. Yes. One day, someone is going to do that. Someone is doing it right now. What are you doing? Put down the butter. It's melting. The person is like, yes, it's supposed to melt though. That's why I'm holding the stick of butter. Can't you see? Can't you see? I am a work of art right now. Can you not see? I'm seeing it. I'm seeing. Please, point me. I just dropped my Bluetooth earbud into my piping hot, freshly made chai tea. Can you guys laugh with me? Oh, it's pretty wrecked. I'm sorry, Shao. I'm sorry you dropped your earphone into the chai. I mean, first world problems, right? What's the worst thing that happened to you today? Well, I bent down to like stir my coffee, and one of my Bluetooth earphones fell in it. Well, tea. I'm sorry, my chai tea on my Bluetooth earphone fell in it. It's like, oh, that does suck, dude. So like part of me just goes like full ape and like imagines me like almost like the whole analogy of like when you can't see it, it can't touch you, like putting your head in the sand vibes of taking the Bluetooth earphone out of the chai tea as quickly as possible and putting it back in my ear. It was like, oh no. If I pretend I didn't just see that and my earphone has been in my ear the whole time, maybe it will completely get dry. It will believe that it didn't get dropped in my chai. Oh, that's hilarious. My Thai tea. Shell. At least it wasn't in the toilet. True. I'm capable and willing to help them feel better. Honestly, I wasn't doing anything anyway, so I might as well help. Service. I'm going to treat myself and order a maca and a breakfast sandwich. So I'll tell you what my mind went into. I was like, should we shift ourselves into a reality where we convince ourselves ordering something is a treat, right? Like you're an animal to be coerced, to be Pavlov, right? You know the Pavlov experiment? You ring a little bell and then you give the dogs food. You ring a little bell and you give the dogs food. You do that over and over again to the point where just by ringing the bell, their mouths start salivating in preparation for this treat they're gonna get. I'm sorry if I'm. And Choi Viv is like, bro, please, I just wanted a sandwich and a coffee. I know, I know, but we're talking about reality shifting right now. Like we have shifted ourselves into a reality where, like for the longest time, in order to get something like a sandwich and a coffee, you would have to go out, find grains, turn those grains into bread through laborious means, find lettuce and meat, right? Kill an animal, cook it, slice it up, get it on your sandwich. Find coffee beans, go through the drying it in the sun process, roast them yourself, crush them up, brew yourself a coffee. Right? That used to be the reality that we were in order to get a sandwich and a coffee. And now our reality is these devices that we can put in our hands and we can like I like making this analogy this way. Like when I was in China, I would like, and this is me being dead serious. There would be moments where I would be watching some sort of YouTube video or a series that I pirated. I mean, found in China on the internet. It was somewhere there in the internet somewhere. And I would be like half comatose on the couch, laying there, and then I would have this little voice being like, "Yes, this is kind of boring. Would be so much better if we were drinking a bubble tea and eating a sandwich right now or something. Maybe like burger. Maybe like 3 burgers." And I'm like, yeah. And then I take my phone and then I lift it up to my face and I do this. I do this. And then I put my phone down. Like, you watch too much show. And then in my bathrobe, pretty much naked, one layer of decency separating me from the world. Someone rings the bell and I get up to go and get my food. I open my door, like a little slice, get handed a bag. It was so different, right? Because even though we do have delivery services in South Africa right now, I live in a small town that didn't at all have delivery services, especially not a delivery service where the dude would walk up 4 flights of stairs in a residential building that was next to a bunch of other residential buildings that was like off the street. This dude found me at my door. And I was like, what? Where how am I supposed to not do this all the time, every single time? And I spent like probably $10,000 in a year and a half on food that way. And I don't know if that's yeah, that is an yes. That's that is indeed an excessive. Oh, ah, ah, and yet, if I didn't make those mistakes, if I weren't in those realities, I wouldn't be where I am right now to be able to see, to understand. And apparently, the best way to kind of like fix that part of yourself is just to make it more difficult. Because the problem with our current reality isn't the fact that we can do that, it's just that it's so easy. It is so easy. It is absurdly easy. So, adding steps like deleting the app, for instance, deleting the app after you make an order. Now you have to re-download the app, you have to re-log in, you have to re-enter your credit card information, right? Even though you'll still, if you really want to order food, that's not that much effort to get food ordered. But on a moment's notice, on a like a fluke decision, adds enough resistance, adds just enough barrier. And for me, again, I'm super biased and privileged because I literally live too far away from civilization to get anything delivered here. Like anything, nothing, not a thing will get delivered here. Things will get delivered in town where I'll fetch things, but nothing gets delivered here. So I'm speaking with complete ignorance, as to how easy it actually is. Hey, Natalie, it's nice having you here, friend. Let me see, where was I? I'm capable of help treating myself better. Thank you for putting me down that tangent, Joyview. I appreciate you giving me all of that fractal. I was 3 steps away from living in the woods for the rest of my life. I was then faced with an option for love and comfort rather than solitude and serenity. It wasn't a clear choice at first. It isn't a clear choice ever. And I feel weirdly enough, I am making the opposite choice right now. Like I'm making that choice more often than not. I'm making the choice of solitude more than I'm making the choice of comfort and companionship. The exact words you used? Love and comfort. Yeah, love and comfort. And I'm doing both. I'm trying to find balance, right? That's why we do these streams so actively. Because if I didn't show up every day for human connection, I'd get lost. I'd drop off the face of the planet for months. I did that. In China, that did happen. Partly because the internet would stop working for months at a time as well. But I went months without saying anything to anyone. Even at work. Because I felt like the connection wasn't there. Right? There's not enough connection. There's too much information lost in trying to say something. But I realized that not saying anything isn't helpful either. Balance. Balance within infinity. Balance within infinity. Joe, I bet you can find a way to build moments of solitude and serenity into your love and comfort. Beautifully said. I agree. There definitely is a way. It just means you're going to have to be even more mindful and willing to set boundaries. Joy, I'm making jalapeno cheese bacon, please. My mind is looking for any reason to convince me that I'm hungry right now. Duckling tries to eat butter straight off the stick daily. I mean, can you blame her? Butter is so good, dude. Amara has a thing with wanting to do that for a while too, Duck. Technically, fat isn't bad for you, right? If your body learns how to actively metabolize fat as a fuel source, it does so happily. Breakfast Sandy sounds great right now, so I love. Duck Shell Jr. used to love sneaking bites of frozen butter when he was 2 and 3. We'll find him with bitten sticks in the freezer. Little gangster. I love China stories. The China stories. The China that like it feels like I lived in a different reality living in China. Again, right? I shifted into a different reality. Like the reality I live in right now very much is not China. Like just this. I'm holding a joint with no fear of consequences. I smoked weed twice in China. Once from a dude who had a vape pen, and the second time from a person who grew a plant in their closet. And both times, oh goodness, the amount of angst. I'm doing something wrong. Oh, these people will kill me for doing this. And they do. They actually have the death sentence for people who sell drugs. So I was like, if someone gets killed because of my need for this experience, how would I ever be able to be okay with that? Right? There's layers and layers of angst. I've been tripping out how just being in China, I felt like I was being surveilled at all times. Even when I wasn't. Even when I wasn't. Like it was like this psychological warfare to the point that I lost. And I only realize now, like looking back, that I actually lost. The amount of time I spent in a fear-based mindset was it's kind of concerning. And even though some of it was warranted, most of it was suffered in my mind. More often than not, things turned out okay in reality. I think I even did a whole video One of my first videos on that whole topic. Uh, Shan sang, I saw something where they said the US coffee is terrible and making people sick because we don't have mold regulations on coffee like other countries. Blessings and mold free coffee to America. The stream today, yo. I compartmentalize a lot, so it's good to spend some awareness observing it from the outside of those compartments. Taking just like a little bit of a How do I observe my own change? The change I go through waking up in the morning to becoming active in my day to showing up for my work to finishing what I do to figuring out how I get to bed. The reality of being a human being. And even though it's very simple when you say it like that, we all know it isn't. Never. There's so much. There's so many little fractals, right? Consequences of consequences of consequences, branching out into our own experiences. Every choice doing that for us, influencing us, reinforcing itself. Take a breath. This is your reality until you stop breathing. It's a little bit, I don't know if it's morbid when I say it like that, but it sounds like a little bit derogatory. Maybe that's the right word. Breathe. Mm, the stream. Love you again. Thank you, Joe, saying so lovingly. The synchronicity. Shan, yeah, I saw a report on the same thing. You just exist and hope for the best. Exactly. Keep breathing. You make it to your destination. I'm thinking so. Mel, since the pandemic, it's gotten even better. They just leave it on your porch at the front door. It's amazing. I don't have to talk to them at all anymore. I would just say, 谢谢 to my delivery people. It's like, thank you. 谢谢, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I would bow. I would like, I'd be like, thank you, 谢谢, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the food, dear friend. But like through the little corner of the door. They were usually wearing masks or little helmets with little glass shields in front of them. Joe Bot does make smiles. So much freaking love. Joe Bot beep boop. Unfortunately, it doesn't surprise me at all, Joe, who drinks American coffee. Probably American. Sad face, it makes less time for me to walk and get the fast food over getting it delivered because there's so many options within 3 blocks. Exactly. I just came to drop by some love. Thank you for spending a moment. We have the animals being so cutesy patootsy in the background. Natalie, good morning. I cut way back on my ordering out. Taking control of my food choices is helping me lose weight. I put on a dress yesterday since its final warming up, and it was so much looser around my midsection. Yes. Progress. Progress. And only you can work for that progress, right? Only you can make your progress. How about that? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Tattoo that on your arm. Put that in, contrasty text on a background. Only you can make your progress. And I'm proud of you, Joy V, for making so beautifully. And thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you for sharing it with us. I feel like the most beautiful thing about cooking our own meals is just the power that we allow ourselves in that, right? Like it can be beautiful. It can be special. It can be sacred. Maybe that's the right word. Cooking your own meals should be sacred. You're not just drudging through. You are doing something good for you. Okay. I did accidentally leave my remedies back home. Mine is finished, and I'm like tilting the bottle and like trying to get like the last drops out of it. I don't want to just toss back the rest of the bottle. Like, probably I'm going to do that soon. It was good, Chan. Reality shifting. Waking up in a new space around other people, enjoying a bit of freedom. Yes, I did that, especially when I moved to where I live now, the country woods and hills, away from people. Left the remedies at home. I'm so happy you made it, Joe. Leaving the remedies at home is okay. Just think of them. Think of how you feel after you take them, and the vibes are there with you. Exactly. I lived on Llama Island in Hong Kong. It had a different vibe because there are no cars and it's a fishing village. Mm. Yo, that does sound kind of nice. That does sound really nice. Just hearing the word, there are no cars. I don't know if that's a true statement because surely there are some cars, but maybe cars are limited. But if it's the fact that there are none whatsoever cars, maybe it's like, as you said, fishing village, like water based. Like the main transport is canoes, for example. Is that Venice as well? Mm, no cars, no pollutants. I really don't like cars. I really don't actually like them, especially the combustion kind. The amount of fumes, just like if you have a car just like running in the garage for a few seconds and you get out into that garage, breathing those fumes like viscerally upset me. It makes me angry. Makes me angry when I breathe in and my brain registers that there is pollutant in the air. I'm like, bro. And then sometimes, and this is just, and I've never said anything. I just see it in silence. Sometimes my mom will park the car, right? And my door is literally directly next to the garage. She'll park the car, but she'll still have it idling. And then like a few seconds will pass, and then I'll start smelling the pollutants in my room, and I'm like, and then I usually put on a fan and I point it to the window. I'm like, yes, I'm channeling. Oh goodness, maybe that's what I'm supposed to think about. I get to be in the shifted reality of not breathing pollutant air right now. Sending it to you, and then as I finish that sentence, I light a joint and breathe smoke. What a joke, huh? Yeah. At least here, the smoke I breathe is intentional. Maybe I could. I can like start setting intentions for inhaling combustion fumes. Ah, yes, I smell diesel burning in the air. I am breathing mindfully right now. Yes, more mindfulness. This dot. Korea had McDonald's delivery. When I went in 2008, and it blew my mind too. Always full out TV in taxis when they watch soap operas on them. The drivers, I mean, thank you. In Korea is 감사합니다. I don't know if I said that correctly. I don't know how to spell it. I don't know how to say it either. So I think we're both equally lost. Realizing the power of the mind. Thank you for bringing awareness to the strength that is always within. Closing my eyes, I saw a flower with like sharp leaves coming out, and then like a little on the inside, and then a gap. It was like looking from the side. Thank you. Sending flowers. Sending love back to you. We gotta plan a follow up, Melt. We do actually have to plan a follow up. I'm free this week coming. Am I? Yes, I'm free this week coming. We should actually do it in this week coming because Christian might be coming through soon. How about that? We might have a Christian in stream. Maybe not technically because he's probably going to be working still. He'd probably be done at this point and then he can come and say hi. But yeah, Christian is going to come through for a while. I've been planting little seeds in his mind, whispering sweet nothings in his ear. Like, I feel I've entered a new season where most of the time I'll be spending interfacing will probably be either this way, creating art, doing yoga, creating more, and I hate the word for the amount of baggage that's attached to it, content. and then I'll welcome visitors. I don't know. I I value the direct person to person connection more and more by the day. Like, I've almost discontinued talking to all of my friends online from this perspective of realizing they're no more than a thought away. Like, thinking about Christian right now, everything that Christian holds in my mind is already there. I don't have to reach out to Christian and send him a message and ask him, "Hey, dude, can you like go on a like call with me right now on stream because I'm talking about you and I want your energy here." Just thinking about him, just having that thought of who Christian is in my life, he's here, all right? Because we know about one another now. And then having all of us, right, as those companions in our lives right now, when we do get to meet, there is that connection, right? Like, it's almost like it's been wirelessly maintained this whole time. And now when you give each other a hug again, you embrace one another's presence and you start, having conversations. That space cannot be faked and it cannot be taken away, right? And I feel like it's unbreakable. It's imperishable, right? Like the world as we know it can end and those things will remain. The internet can go away and those things will remain. And I don't believe the internet is going to go away, but I think I'm finding balance, trying to find balance, realizing that there is balance to find, that our connections are maintained even if we're not doing so tangibly. And it's an expectation kind of thing. It's why I keep saying the words, we are no more than a thought away, because I think about you friends throughout the day, right? I'll experience something and then something one of you have said comes to my mind. I find a synchronicity in my life. And I think of it from this perspective of we're probably going to transition at some point into having brain computer interfaces where it's going to be like a reminder at that point that every single time someone thinks about you, you'll almost get a feeling for it. And it'll probably be tunable, right? Some people would want to be overwhelmed by the feeling of someone thinking about them, as in, the significance thereof. And some people might just want to have a warm feeling of comfort come over them every single time someone thinks of them. Like, I hope this concept isn't too trippy, but I believe it already works that way in large part. Unfortunately, we as human beings really like the sensual, so we will want more. That's going to be true, but there is as much as you believe there is, right? If you think about something, think about someone, think about someone thinking something, and the things you're thinking are good, you thinking them makes you feel good, whether it's true or not, right? You have the power to tell yourself a story that creates hope, that creates a sense of inspiration, that creates a sense of clarity, that things will be okay, that your connection remains, that you're not losing out on something, that you're not less for getting to experience one thing or another, that the reality you shift yourself into can be a good one. And that is almost like living to the assumed reality. Neville Goddard really, struck a nerve with me. Living into the assumed reality. What you assume about reality is the reality you shift yourself into, right? And it can be used for evil, but it can definitely, I feel, should be ultimately used for good. that if you assume someone hates you and you have a conversation with them with that assumption in mind, they might as well, because you'll find a way to take everything they say as hateful. If you assume someone loves you, if you assume you love them, even if you don't, even if it's hard to, you'll act in ways that live into that assumption. It cannot be mistaken, right? And it's like the word assume. When you make an ass out of you and me, I know. I feel again when we assume the best, we don't make asses out of ourselves or others, right? And sometimes it will backfire. This is true. Sometimes we'll get taken advantage of, but nobody can take advantage of your ability to assume the good. As in, they might take advantage of your resources, they might take advantage of your time, they might take advantage of your energy, but they cannot take advantage of your ability to feel that way and to show up that way in the world, right? That is the power. That is the true power, the true energy that you occupy, the reality that you're shifting yourself into. Being okay, being caring, being kind. And we get better every day. Bestie coming for a visit, yeah, yes, exactly. Exactly. My friends used to make fun of me because I'd hold my breath and cover my face around exhaust trucks. I hate smelling vehicle fumes. Me too. I straight up, cover my face with my scarves. I'm like, hell no. I don't want to be breathing whatever is coming out of that pipe. Like they put like actual platinum filters in those things just to like get some of the wreckethness, to stay. And yet it still doesn't do a perfect job at that. When I'm manic, I get so mad at cars. Like I walk in the middle of the road. I'm just mad. Non-polluting walkers have to use a tiny sidewalk. Yeah, the roads got stolen from us. We got conditioned into believing the roads were made for cars. The roads were supposed to be community gathering centers. That's what we were using our roads for. We would have paths that would cut through our cities, and then in those paths, people would have the opportunity to be entrepreneurial. They could put down a little stand, right? They could do like a performance artwork. They could have a place where people could paint. As we walk through these spaces, we actually had access to these things, and it conditioned us to only being inside, only having these activities, exclusivity, only like certain people being allowed on the roads, vehicle, this wealth disparity, this trap convincing you that you're supposed to be a vehicle owner, that you don't have freedom if you don't. So much brain damage. So much brain damage. We are waking up. It is happening. We are waking up. It's just hard. It's hard to convince people that the way they have assumed reality to be might be wrong. Because nobody wants to be wrong. Even if the thing we're wrong about doesn't really affect our egos. Our egos will convince us that it's supposed to affect our egos. Make it about ourselves somehow. You'll be hearing from me, Melt. Come. This week. Please do. I hate when I'm in some cars. 11:11. Joe, did you see the article in yesterday's My Times about parrots who fascinate each other? I don't think but I would like if she did. I haven't seen it. Makes me want to FaceTime with mine. The hardest part about going on a road trip was leaving Burble home, even though he's in good hands. I'm happy to hear that. I can imagine leaving your baby, basically. Yo, my doggo saw the kitty on the TV on Mel's stream and was like, what the fuck? Now staring intently. Look, there's another doggo as well. I don't think there's any more animals. Just Yudi holding space for me this whole time. Creating stories of hope, living into the assumed realities. Yes, Esrog. I prefer to assume I love until it's clear I shouldn't. Exactly, Shell. That's the way I think of it as well. Oh, that one is going in the book of things we're saying. I assume love. Unless it's clear I shouldn't. I assume love unless it's clear I shouldn't. You see, I like that as a thing worth saying because I believe things worth saying should stimulate some sort of state of mind, right? And saying those words does stimulate a certain state of mind because I don't necessarily think it's true. I don't actually think it's true because I don't think it will ever be clear when I shouldn't love, right? I think it will maybe be clear with which capacity I love. I don't think the love will go away, but I think the capacity slash investment, is that the right word? Energy expenditure will change, right? Yeah. 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 Okay. I'm back while I get ready to go and sort and primp some plants. Trim? Primp? I don't know what primp means. Yes, and then finding love, even after the shouldn't. Exactly. There will still be love. There just might be a difference in energy, right? The capacity through which you love. Because love takes multiple different forms. I feel the base, the ultimate layer of love is just presence, right? Giving me your focus. That's today's intentions in the joint. If you give me your presence and your focus in this moment, I believe you do so lovingly. And you can give that presence and focus to someone even if you don't believe they're worthy of it. Even if they've shown you that they'll use your presence and your focus wastefully, right? And then there are extensions of that. Presence and focus can go into different layers, help, physical touch, companionship, more conversations, etc., right? Man, I'm tripping myself out. There's a lot of energy in just acknowledging the existence of another being, right? This Pippi is like, yeah, 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 I exist. I exist. Look at him acknowledging my existence. Oh yes. Oh, it's so nice existing as a Pippi. Oh, it's so great. I love it. Oh, I love being a Pippi. Oh, presence and focus. And then I stop giving her my presence and my focus. And she's like, what's happening, dude? Why you do? You should you should be giving me more presence and focus. What's up, dude? Like fine. Are you leaving? Going on a hike? Love you, Jovan. Be safe. Do let us know. Absorb, absorb. Melt into your consciousness all of the beauty that is your hike. Thank you for sharing that with all of us. I want to get you a new scar for your birthday, Melty, but I don't think I can top your first one, and that you'll be disappointed. Yes, Joyviv, because that's who I am, right? Not grateful for whatever, but actively more and more disappointed that reality isn't as perfect as it was before. That's totally my thing. You got me, maybe. I'll be grateful for whatever you give me, right? You can give me a plastic bag, and I'd probably, make something poetic out of it. Like, yeah, probably like make one scarf. I probably won't continue to wear it. I'll probably like, frame it somewhere or something. I'll frame it in like I'll like have like nails and frame it in like some sort of shape, a picture or something. You see what I mean? Like, there's beauty in everything. There's gratitude in everything. There's a bug in my water. It's just a matter of your presence and focus. Love equals presence, focus is great. Cheers. This is Meaty AF. The depth, the substance, the feeling. I want to thank you. Thank you again for the love. Let's pull a card, shall we? Look at the scene I've been staring into. Proceed to mail a plastic bag all the way to South Africa on Earth Day is like the most evil villain stuff ever. I'm in. Stop that. That's the beauty of it, dude. It's like, what? That's so evil. Oh, how could you do such a thing? And me being like, wow, oh wow, so beautiful, so understand, so perfect. Oh goodness, your friends, help. Actually, I want to show you something. I might embarrass myself. Hopefully not. I don't want to break my things either, but there's a very strong magnet on this microphone. And I've told you, friends, about the rock we have on the farm, right? This like iron rock. And yeah. And we have a lot of it. You want to see another piece? Mm-hmm. Let me see. Oh, oh, why did I leave my pluckies behind? I'll get that stuff back. I for a split second thought I did embarrass myself because it didn't like latch onto it like it was a solid piece of steel. It kind of just like held onto it like it was hugging it lightly. Let's see how long it takes me to find another piece. Here's big ones. Actually, these ones are in the ground. And I took it and I threw it to the ground. I threw the rest of the cake too. Welcome to the real world, jackass. I'm done. You know what? No, I wanted to be spicy and like stick the magnet to the ground, but I respect my magnet too much. Pippi is like harassing me right now. You know, maybe part of me wants to take you friends with me on this adventure. I found another rock in the same configuration. I'll show you what I mean with the pieces being in the ground. You're a silly girl. We're going on an adventure. I'm gonna try and get to the bottom of the comments. Kitty says, what up? Love you. Honey going to work in the mine. Steps away, doorbell. So here's the other one. Again, like this, like metallic rock. Magnet stick to that. This one's like actually like properly on there. And then we'll show you what I mean with the in ground ones. See it like this. There's so much of it. Hello, kitty. Hello, kitty meow. Yeah, and then there's more of it there. And there's more of it there. And there's more of it there. And more of it there. And that little mountaintop that the sun is sitting over right now, it's made of it fully. It's like solid of that stuff. It's got a trip. The amount of magnetism happening in this space. I call the farm Magneta, you know? Magneta is a magnetic energy that is generated here. All of our soil is red. You can like see like some, I think it was my dad with the building materials, drove over that soil and then onto the grass. Makes actual red lines. Can you see it? Does that look red or is it just like a brown? But that's red soil coloring the grass. Oh, Pippi is taking a dump in the background. Very unpoetic. Or maybe perfectly poetic. Yes. Yes. Yes, the glass is half full. The glass is so full. The glass is full. Like just full, actually. Right. This is exactly the amount the glass had to be full. Okay. This thing level. Totally looks red. We have red soil here in the States. Closest to me is Missouri and Arkansas that has red dirt. What is the geo situation like around? Sorry for the click. What is the geo situation like around those places of red soil? Do they have like old active volcanoes? I'm curious. Magnets, how do they work? Well, I don't want to go into how they work. Basically, electrons, free flowing electrons. There are electrons flowing all around us right now. There are electrons flowing over this thing. My rings are not made of it right. It's the glass full of dog poop. Maybe, maybe. I mean, a glass full of dog poop could do wonders to fertilize a plant. So maybe even a glass full of dog poop could be useful. depends on depends on the reality you're shifting yourself into. Seems like Mel's dad doesn't have to go far for a iron mine. No, please. I don't want to mine on the farm. That sounds like my worst nightmare ever. Ever, ever. Ever times 70. Because that means loud construction equipment and them ripping the earth a new one. I want to build here. I want to use all of the metal for building. Uh, for buildings for people to live in, right? Not just for ripping the resources out of the earth. Honey going to work in the mine, steps out the door, bends down. Don't choke, oh please. If my dad hears, it might be a good idea. Might like jump on it. Farm adventures, the little white building you just walked past in the field. The white building there, that's where the electric box lives. That connects us to the grid. It's also where some grains are stored. There's some grains in there and stuff. I'm determined to find a purple one I like for you, but all the ones I think they're ugly or cheap looking. The search continues. All it needs to do, Joy Vive, is be complex enough to add cool variation as an art piece. That's me being super biased. You picked perfectly of the blue ones. And take your time. There's no rush. There's absolutely no rush. I have a lot of scarves right now. A part of me feels like I shouldn't. Part of me is like, bruh, do you want to be a minimalist or something? And I'm like, dude, I, I have like 15 scarves. There's nothing minimal about that. Isn't there? There's absolutely nothing minimal about having 15 scarves. And yet, I could shift my reality into a negative mindset of like, oh, I need to throw these scarves away because I can't be minimalist having all of them. Or I can see them as adders to the work that I do. I can appreciate them, love them, give them a chance to be themselves, I guess. Iron Rock. Never seen that before. How about that? Get to share something new. Kitty says, what up, y'all? Honey going to the mine. Going down. Sun definitely is going down. And I say earlier these days, it's getting to be winter again. Totally looks red. We have red as well. Holy crap! Anyone starting to be convinced that magnetism is getting to us through melt? Yes, of course, absolutely. You generate magnetism just by being. Your brain works through electrons flowing through conduit, technically, and if there is electrons throwing through a conduit, it generates a magnetic field. Anything that has an electron flowing through it has a magnetic field. That electrons don't move by themselves being thrusted forwards. They move by being basically in the center of an electric field or a magnetic field that has a polarity. Like, the fuck does that mean? So what we were convinced of, at least we were brain damaged into believing it, that electrons push one another like a liquid, right, in a hose. That's what we thought of as electrons. Oh yes, all of these little electrons, fill up this hose and then they push each other through the hose. No, that's not what happens. What actually happens is as soon as a current is generated through that medium, it generates a magnetic field with a polarity that pulls those electrons in a direction. And that's happening in your brain. It's happening when you move your limbs. It's happening when you talk. It's happening when you walk on the earth. You influence the greater magnetosphere. And the greater magnetosphere influences you. When two people come together, their magnetic fields influence one another. A new experience gets created in the vesica piscis of their interaction. And that's what's happening here right now. And I believe the farm amplifies whatever energy we create here. Magneta. It allows for some magnetism. Scarves are life here, Shell. Why did you get rid of yours? The only scarves I own are Manchester United scarves, and they hang on the wall. Not a human. I regret getting rid of every scarf I've tossed and question myself routinely. It was what you needed to do. It was the reality you had to shift into to be in this reality right now, Shell. Don't trip yourself out too much. Holy crap! Anyone starting to be convinced that magnetism is getting glass mouth? Yeah, more. It's like the glass full of poop. No volcanoes, I believe. It disposes from strip mines and rivers flowing. I'm only guessing. When I live out, soil is compressed stuff that fell off the glaciers and they moved down to the north. That is so sick. America, damn, dude. We got talking soil and it sucked me in. Midwest, goodbye, number 3 coming in. You need one for every day of the month. I like that actually. I regret getting rid of every single scarf. Love is true again. Scarf of life. I have so many scarves. Great magnetosphere and greater magnetosphere and amplifiers. Yeah, and I wanna turn this space into something special. I I need resources though. Tools more than anything. I need tools more than I need resources, but resources allow me to buy tools. So unfortunately, this world has set it up that I have to do one before the other. How about that? Yeah, how would you make money first? And then we'll give you the tools so that you can make meaningful change. How about you give me tools so I can make meaningful change? And then surely money will flow from that. And then it's like the logistics, right? Can you prove that you would be someone who would make meaningful change with resources or not? Do you have a track record? Can you prove that you have good intentions? If we had to analyze the whole of your life, more often than not, for your decisions, will we find love is true? Huh, how about that? More often than not, this person makes the choice of love. Surely, we want them to continue doing that because love is a very rare resource in this universe. It's the fundamental resource, but it's rare in the capacity that we get to give our focus and attention to it, our presence to it, to that love, for that love. Makes sense? Makes sense. The space is already pretty special with all of these lovely friends. We make our tools. It is. It is. There's nothing that needs to change. There's nothing that needs to change. This is what it was supposed to be in this moment, and it will always be. This is destiny, right? We are destinizing right now. Joy, it was crazy at times. I was running away from things and ran away from my scarves. I'm rebuilding my collection. Love is true. You see, now in this reality, you get to not throw your scarves away. Yeah, since you have learned, we make our tools the best we can say we can to save the cash. Well, unfortunately, it's a little bit hard for me to make massive rock excavators. And I can excavate rock with my fleshy vehicle, but I know my limitations, and having something that can move dirt, can create stability, can create clarity when it comes to the scale of the earth. That's a tool that's a little bit hard to make myself. At least for now. Maybe I'll have a fabricator at one point. Shad, it is. Melt, your dreams are huge. James Cameron had huge dreams too. It can be manifested because you want it to be so. I believe so. Absolutely, Shell. I believe it's impossible for me to fail. Because even if I fail conceptually to this ego, we had this as a success, right? We successfully showed up for this moment. So it's impossible for us to fail. What the? Yesterday or day before yesterday? We pulled card 47 again. Upside down this time, though. We pulled it right side up the previous time. Okay, thank you. I had to trip out for a second there. My dreams are small because small is within my control. As I can control more, I can control more. I feel you. I don't think your dreams are small, Doc Dad. To be completely honest. But maybe small when we think about, the scale we've seen possible. Right? Like any goal we are gonna have is probably gonna be smaller than the goal of the pyramids. Right? That's some fucking goals, yo. To build a pyramid, damn. Like I wish I could realize a goal of that scale, right? I wish I had the tools. I wish my mind was capable of just starting to cut blocks from this earth, to visualize every layer of it, and then to cut blocks out of space and bring them into this one. Keep those cavities. But I'm not powerful enough just yet. Just yet. Oh my! Oh goodness! So the reverse meaning is pretty crazy. Maybe for all of us, right? And I feel it's echoing today's sentiment of the stream, talking about the masculine perspective within feminine change, right? The reverse meaning goes: you lack for nothing, yet feel a sense of scarcity. Adjust your attitude and welcome the manifestation of abundance. Yeah, I was just talking about, if only I had these super tools. If only I was, godlike powerful. Oh, if only then. No, you lack for nothing. There's no lack. Just because I don't have superpowers right now doesn't mean I don't have superpowers right now. Right? You shouldn't feel a sense of scarcity. Adjust your attitude and welcome the manifestation of abundance. Abundance and manifestation is the core meaning. Again, we'll read it again. And it's probably going to be completely different, right? We've read this card before. We read this card like yesterday or day before yesterday. It was like within the last 2 days. This card takes us a step beyond the flower of life by removing the circular boundary of the flower of life and adding another full rotation. We find a pattern of 13 circles known as the fruit of life. This pattern holds complex informational systems and is considered a female gateway. This abundance emerges from a water lily, which represents our potential for enlightenment. Pulling this card suggests that by the fruit of your labor and vision, abundance has or is about to manifest in your life. Rejoice in the knowledge that you are drawing in abundance and manifesting your goal. Drawing in is magnetism. Yes, the connection is now made. The connection wasn't made the previous time quite like this. Abundance comes in many forms, and you are cautioned not to get caught up in thinking that abundance must be about wealth. True. As you find your life's path, the rewards will flow freely and hard times will pass. There are, however, many other types of abundance, beauty, love, friendship, hope, and growth, to name just a few. Let the abundance you are manifesting bring you to a greater understanding of your purpose in life and an expanded view of plenty. In all things abundant, there exists nourishment that feeds your needs and offers you the opportunity to be of service. Another point we echoed. The maxim, as you give, so shall you receive, is absolutely true from the standpoint of your current situation. The message is one of unselfishly sharing. Sharing your abundance is spreading light. What a trip! What a trip. What a beautiful card as well. Right? Like you're seeing this, right? Like you're looking at something. And there is a part of you that understands that there is some significance being communicated. It's hard to articulate it. And the way that Francine Hart articulates is a perception from her perspective as well. The fruit of life, right? So again, there is this pattern, this informational pattern called the flower of life. And if you look at the way that cells divide, for instance, you going from an embryo to being a full-fledged human being, it goes through these stages of stacking onto itself that creates this informational pattern. Like that's you on some fundamental level. And then the fruits that arise from that informational pattern that is fundamentally encoded into our reality is the abundance that we seek, right? These are the fruits of the flower of life. This is the fruits of the flower of life. You are the fruit of the flower of life. You already are abundant. You lack for nothing, and yet you feel scarcity. Adjust your view. See it as plenty. Yeah, I'm taking it in. Melt needs an earthbender. Weirdly enough, as a kid, when we were having conversations about what bender we would like to be, I mentioned that I would like to be an earthbender. That was my thing. Even like as a little kid watching Avatar, I wanted to be an earthbender. How would you convince people to move out to nowhere though melty eggs are 20 miles away? I won't have to convince people of anything, Javiv. My job is not to convince people of anything. My job is to facilitate. I facilitate. I I cannot do the work for you. I cannot move your body for you. I can facilitate the space that you can come to, right? We can sit in a circle and communicate. We can, have a little drum circle. I don't have to convince you. I'm just going to facilitate space. And those that feel attracted, if the magnetism of the space that is created is attractive enough, then people will come into it, right? I don't have to convince anybody. I feel, in fact, in trying to convince, you bastardize the thing you're trying to build, right? And I know, Doug Dad. I'm feeling Doug Dad being like, bro, I have to convince people to buy my plants. I'm not. Remember. What I'm saying is, you understand the value of your plants, right? And in communicating, in trying to, having to communicate the value of your plants, it's almost like you're trying to reduce to a certain few sentences, to a certain, beautifully eloquent way of saying something, the value that you intrinsically know these things have because you have seen it. You have seen yourself applying your hands to the soil, growing these plants. That's the value you have created. And now, by trying to communicate it, you will never be able to catch all of that data, all of that worth. And it's the same thing for you, right? That's you. That's your reality too. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Man, this microphone keeps sinking down. I don't know if the audio has been trashed this whole time. I live alone, shall I can't have too much food around. It goes bad, so I can't shop at Costco. Get more for less, right? Alternative nourishment. Away. Sharing your abundance, love that. Shoot, I have three people family, and 48 eggs would be a challenge in 3 weeks before they go south. The peppy fruit, exactly. Duck eggs are good for calves. Either fire or water, not sure. I think I'd be a firebender. Firebending is pretty cool. Suddenly there was a tone. In the center of my brain. It's kind of concerning. Yes? Yes, I'm here. Are you calling? What to do? Love is true. Okay. I actually planned on eating mushrooms tonight, and apparently the mushrooms are already calling. Thank you, friends, for spending some time with me. Magneto's calling. Yes. Yes, the farm definitely has value. Also, it should totally just be called the farm. It would be wonderful for the kiddos. And drum circles, maybe we should move the town closer. Yeah, just casually move the whole town closer. I feel the remoteness of it is in and of itself charming, right? Like that's kind of the point. You come here because it's remote. You come here because it's out of the way. That's why you come here. Have the most beautifulest day, everyone. I love you all so very, very superest, duperest, hugely dearly. Melt on all of you wonderfully, lovely, amazing friends. As we love you. Thank you, friends, for joining us, for spending a moment, for shifting your reality into this one. And now we will shift realities again. All of our realities collectively making up everything. Thank you, friends, for sharing a moment of it with me. I'll see you again soon. Shan, be well. Mushrooms are calling me too, and dancing. Love you. Until tomorrow, dear friends. Goodbye.